Well, we've been speaking with Grace Haymes, the author of My Story for God's Glory, who grew up in Nubbin Hill, Arkansas.
Near Leslie.
Near Leslie. Were clothes all homemade?
Yes. I made my own clothes. I never had a dress I didn't make for several years. Yeah. And I just had one good dress when I came to town, and I had made it because we had home economics. That's how we learned to sew. Mama made them. She didn't have a home economics. She made her clothes. But one time I made the mistake of saying she didn't know how to sew. Boy, did I ever hear from her. Because she had made her clothes for years.
Yeah.
It didn't make the boys' shirts very much. They mostly didn't make the boys' shirts. They're more, a shirt is got a lot of, it's a lot of sewing.
A lot of work.
It needs some talent.
Yeah.
And so, but Dad's twin
But
sister.
dresses and pants.
Well, we didn't, when I was a young girl, no girls wore pants. They didn't wear pants. They wouldn't have even allowed them to wear pants in our schools. That came along, when I was in high school. The girls started wearing pants, and Dad let us wear pants. He was very much against it, but we were picking strawberries in the spring to make a little bit of money. And so he let us get some slacks, actually.
Would you actually cultivate strawberries, or were they wild strawberries?
There was a neighborhood out of Marshall that raised acres and acres of strawberries, and we could go strawberry picking and make a little money. And so we did that. Everybody went strawberry picking because it was a chance to make a little money.
Yeah.
And oh boy, you have to get down on the ground.
Yeah.
Do it now.
You get down on your knees and
Well, just down your knees,
crawling around.
any way you want to do it. You've got to get down there where they are.
yeah.
And but we needed the money. We wanted the money, so we did it. It was a chance to make a little money.
Yeah. One other thing you mentioned in your book is the great oleomargarine controversy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could still see that margarine because they, I guess, the butter industry had a fuss about it and tried to get a law against the margarine.
Yeah.
Because it caused their market not to be as good.
Yeah.
Well, so in order to get around the law, they put a little package of color powder. And we had to mix that in the margarine. Oh boy, that was I never.
How would you do that? Would you knead it in like you're kneading bread or
Well,
something?
you just put it in a bowl, and it was hard to mix.
Stir it up.
It was, yeah, you tried to stir it, and it was hard to mix. And so, anyhow, I guess we used it for cooking. I don't know. We ate it.
You ate margarine. Yeah.
We ate margarine.
But you also had butter.
Not always.
Really?
Not always. It did pretty good because we didn't always have butter.
Did you have a milk cow?
We had a couple, 2 or 3 cows for milk. But the cows, you have to let them go dry before they have new calves. You have to quit using their milk. Leave them alone when they're getting ready to have their calves. So we went through a period there when we didn't have butter. And that we used that margarine. And when you're really poor, we just went to the table and ate whatever we had. We cooked it. In the spring, we had lots of greens,
Yeah.
And we also began to have some lettuce and onions, green onions. We use those, pretty quick in the spring.
Yeah.
And, so
Chives? You ever get any chives?
I was not familiar with chives.
Yeah. What about spices in general? You know, herbs?
Not much. My dad wasn't much into that kind of stuff. And neither Mama didn't know much about it either.
Yeah.
So we just used whatever. We used the greens and we cooked with bacon grease mostly.
Yeah.
We didn't worry about margarine or lard, either one, if we could get bacon grease.
Bacon grease. So what brought you to Springfield?
Well, I started to tell that. The girls, my friends, the second year I was out of high school, I had a couple of friends that had got out of high school also, and they were coming to Springfield because they had an older sister that had an apartment in Springfield, and so they could come up here and move in with her, and they let me come with them, and we lived with her until we were able to we got jobs at Lily-Tulip.
Yeah. Do you remember where the apartment was?
Not really. Not really.
But this would have been early 50s?
It was about 52.
52.
Yeah.
All right. So you're in Springfield in 52 and you end up working at
I
Lily-Tulip.
went to work at Lily on the first day of May in 53. Because my first trip up here with the girls, I just didn't fit. I just couldn't. I had to live in a home and take care of their little children for my room and board.
Yeah.
And they were good people, but I was so green. I was so shy and everything that I just didn't work out.
You just felt ill at ease all the
I
time?
was not comfortable at all.
Yeah.
I was not at home.
So you went back home?
So I asked my dad if I could just come back. And I went cotton picking then in the fall just to have something to do
Yeah.
and make some money. Dad went cotton picking. We went cotton picking in Oklahoma on the back of a big log truck. Rode all the way right to the very border of Texas. I can almost say the name of the town. Frederick, I believe it was, or something like that. But
So they did actually pick you up on a flatbed truck and take you to pick cotton?
they had a load. I want to say a load of people going out there to pick cotton. We were all the way to, where we had an opening was almost, we could just drive on over to Texas. Yeah.
How long would you stay picking cotton?
Until cotton was picked.
But was it a
Yeah.
day, a week?
We'd pick for one farmer, and then somebody else would need pickers, and we'd move and go there. And when it was all pretty well picked, when some people go, we had neighbors that go out there and pick cotton and maybe make enough money to live till spring or
Till
something.
the next one.
Yeah.
Where would you sleep?
And when we picked cotton,
Yeah.
they had big sheds and just for them.
Yeah.
And they had put my dad and I in a little place. And the people we picked for were not, they didn't seem to have much compassion for poor people, you know.
Yeah.
So they put us in a little shed.
Really?
My goodness, it didn't have any windows. And of course that didn't bother me at night or the daytime either. In the daytime you were in the field, so you didn't pay attention to the place not having any windows. So these people were not very good to us because it got real cold, and they didn't make provision for us.
There was no heat?
We had a little heater, but honest to my life, it was it put out so little heat that I was hugging it in the night, trying to be warm.
Trying to get some
So,
heat.
but we had another neighbor across the street. We had picked for them some too, and they were really marvelous people. Both of them were lawyers, and they were retired and had a little baby girl, but they were older, and I think they may have adopted her, a little red-headed girl. But they had compassion for us. They knew that these neighbors we lived with were not being civil, let alone compassionate.
Yeah.
So they asked us to come over to their house and stay the night. 1 or 2 nights, and they were there along with us. And it's
You
first
and your dad.
me and my dad. They asked us to come to their house and stay the night.
Yeah.
And I slept in a big bedroom all by myself. I'd never slept in a bedroom before. I'd never been in a bedroom because our house was 2 rooms, period.
Right.
And
So you had a bedroom to yourself.
I had a bedroom all by myself, and they were so nice and good. And it's the first time I'd ever took a bath in a bathtub. It was an experience.
What did you think of that? Was that the height of luxury?
It was the height of my trip, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It was really something. To
Nice
have
warm bath in a
a
bathtub.
warm bath and then a warm bedroom.
Well, how would you bathe back at home? Would it just be a bucket of water?
Sponge bath.
Yeah.
We actually had those 2 rooms, and then a little closet had been built on the back. One of the old original pattern for the house was a kitchen on the back.
Yeah.
But they took that kitchen, opened it up, and made a back porch. And at the end of the back porch, they put a closet, so we had a good place to change clothes. And so that worked real good.
Yeah. Outhouse for a toilet?
We were not wealthy enough, prosperous enough to have a outhouse. People just
go out in the woods?
Even in the school, the boys would go to the one side of the school in the woods, and the girls would go to the other side across the road. They'd go way down in there to that woods, and that was the toilets. And so they never had a toilet at the school either.
Really?
Later years, there was one man built a toilet because he was an older man and had a daughter, so he built a toilet.
You didn't want her going out in the woods.
He didn't want her to be subjected to whatever was going on.
Yeah. So you worked at Lily for 6 years?
6 years.
What'd you do?
Well, I was an inspector. I just happened to walk in there right when they were opening a new department. So because I was one of the originals in the department, they immediately transferred me to being an inspector. And the inspector was pretty much run that department. I wasn't supervisor. They had to have men for supervisors.
Oh.
The men, but I've had to actually take care of everything.
Yeah.
And so it was a very, very good job for that time. And those
You enjoyed it?
oh, of course,
Yeah.
And people liked me.
Yeah.
They let me. They would let me run the department because we were responsible. I was responsible to see that I was actually quality control. I
Yeah.
was responsible to see that cups would pass inspection. So everyone worked real good with me because I was good to them and they were good to me.
Yeah. And they made different kinds of cups. Were you in charge of a certain product line? Or?
Yes, we were, in our department, we made cottage cheese cups,
Cottage cheese.
different sizes.
Waxed?
Yes, they had to go, they were formed on the machine, and the girls had to get them off of there, and then before the girls got them, they had to go through a wax bath.
Yeah.
Bath.
Yeah.
They was on individual hooks, and they went through down through the wax all the way around. And the girl, when they come back and were cooled off, the girls packed them. So it was really a good thing.
Yeah.
A wonderful job.
Yeah.
Just wonderful, really. It wasn't I would not have even called it work, because
Yeah.
I mean, to me, work is going out in the field in the hot sun. And,
Right. Picking strawberries on your knees.
Oh boy, and all of that. A lot of the farm work is hard on the back and stuff.
Yeah. So you were kind of pinching yourself, like, "Man, they're paying me to do this? And
Yeah,
they're
no,
calling it work?"
It was too much. I couldn't call it work, but
Yeah.
and I got paid good. It's about the best paying in town, best paying job for a woman in town.
In the 50s.
I think I started out at 85 cents an hour. It's a fortune,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were living pretty high on the hog then, or?
Well, I never. I got in the church, Assembly of God Church, actually in Leicester, and so they had real high standards. The standards were really just a disgrace. They just ruined young people's lives, but making the standards so high. Couldn't go to a movie.
Really? Couldn't dance, couldn't drink.
Couldn't dance. And there was a skating rink came to town in Marshall. Skating rink. And it was wonderful. Oh, yeah, I mean, Marshall took that in. And I learned to skate. I thought that was the most wonderful thing in the whole world. It was, up to that time. It was the most wonderful thing I had ever done.
Yeah. There's an element to courtship in skating too, right? Like pie suppers?
Yes, if you had a boyfriend, or sometimes if you didn't, they'd come along and want to skate with you.
Yeah. Did they have couples skate where only couples could be out on the rink?
Well, they had little, I don't know what you'd call it. They'd say, well, right now, how they do even yet, right?
Yeah.
They'd say everybody's gonna do such and such.
Right.
We'll do it this way right now. And
Right.
So all the.
You did a lot of skating, huh?
Well, that summer I got to do that, and Dad took us skating, and I didn't know that anybody could have so much fun in this world. It was sure wonderful, and I busted my head a time or two, but it didn't seem to hurt.
Your tailbone ever take a bruising, or?
I don't remember. I do remember seeing stars when my head hit the floor.
Yeah.
I'd never had a blow like that before.
Yeah.
It wasn't the last one I ever had.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for sharing your memories with us.
I hope we got everything that was important.
Well, I don't know about that, but a lot of good stories.
You're very kind and patient. And God bless you. Oh my goodness.
On the margin in the book, you talked about how it was difficult to mix that powder.
Yeah.
That was kind of like yellowish orange.
And it all got all streaked in his orange.
Yeah, you got all. So you'd end up with like not so much lumpy, but just it looked odd.
It was all streaked.
Yeah.
With the
color
orange.
wasn't consistent.
The color, well, it was hard to mix.
Yeah.
It was hard to mix. Mama didn't have time to mess with it. So it was.
So it'd be good enough, and
It was not a success.
yeah.
I can't imagine now that.
How long did that situation last before they allowed yellow margarine to be sold in the store?
I don't know. Excuse me. I was beginning to grow up. I might have left home before that was changed.
Of course, the Ozarks was a pretty big dairy region back then. Milk cows.
Everybody just about had their own milk cow. You had to do that because there wasn't transportation and there wasn't opportunities. You had to pretty much take care of yourself, make sure you fed yourself, and then only a limited stuff had to be bought in town.
Yeah. Well, we've been speaking with Grace Haymes, the author of My Story for God's Glory. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome.